Welcome. Saw your face recently, Olivia. Just waiting for everyone to join. They're all starting to come in. Yay. What an exciting lineup today. So if anyone's just joining now, maybe type into the chat bar how you're showing. Oh, Rochelle, just saw you before. I saw Olivia earlier this morning and you before, so I love that. Oh, so cool. So cool. Yes, so if you want to type into the chat bar how you're showing up today, you can. Oh, there's quite a lot joining, so I'm just going to let us all in. This is being recorded if anyone is watching the replay. All right. If you feel to, you're welcome to leave your video on or off. It'll be mainly a presentation and then we'll open up to Q&A at the end. So if you feel like you just want to sit in the background, enjoy and relax, you can. Feeling good? Thanks, Rochelle. Yay. If anyone else wants to type in the chat by how they're feeling, they're welcome. Hi, Natasha. Good to see your
Right.
face. All right, we'll give everyone another minute. Quite a dramatic title, isn't it? Psychic vampires. You've met a few of those, Natasha?
Yeah. Yep.
All right. I'll just give, does anyone want to ask anything or state anything before we kick off? I am going to open up the presentation. There'll be about maybe 35 to 40 minutes of talking about different concepts and make sure when I'm presenting, if you've got any questions on that, yeah, you write them down because we're going to do a bit of a meaty Q&A at the end. So, all right, well, I'm going to get kicked off now since we are almost 3 minutes past. All right. Right. I'm going to share. If I haven't met you before, I'm Debbie. Mostly people know me by now, but I'm Debbie Pask. I own and run Rezinate, which is a beautiful spiritual online school. And these talks happen very regularly. So every month we do a different talk on a different topic that might be useful around how you manage your energy. So this one. And for those of you that have studied with me before already, you might have seen some of these concepts in some of the courses. Yeah, so let's get going. So we're talking today about energy vampires and how we live in a world of energy and how that can affect us day in and day out, and maybe what we can do about it or how to think about it. So, as I said, we've, in our over 30,000 healing sessions and coaching sessions with people, we've probably seen everything you can imagine in terms of energy, connections, courtings, people swapping energy. And it's really quite a fascinating world. And the more that you understand it, the better life gets. And just around, not just managing your physical boundaries with people, but your energetic boundaries with people. So I wanted to start with a really great story, a share around someone I was working with, and this was actually an energetic cord that she was sending out to her ex-partner. It actually wasn't coming to her; it was going from her to him. And what was really fascinating about this was she came to me and said, I'm married with three children. I'm in my late 30s, but when I was in my 20s, I was engaged to this man and he just disappeared. We broke off the engagement, disappeared. I never saw or heard from him again. And it's been like 10 years and I can't stop dreaming of him. I dream about him every night, like we're still connected, and I just don't know how to let go. And she said, I'm so embarrassed because my husband doesn't know that I dream about him. I've got kids, I've got a new life. And when we actually sorted this out, we realized that she was still corded to him energetically because she never knew what happened to him and she had like no answers and she felt confused and she still had feelings. And when we worked out through some energy work that I said to her, I felt like he'd left the country because of either a drug deal gone wrong or some money he owed, and that he disappeared back to his home country. And she goes, yes, that's exactly what I thought, but I wasn't sure. And we did some energy correction and cord cutting and letting go. And she said she never dreamed about him again. And she'd been dreaming about him for almost 10 years. So the actual releasing of the energy cord that she was sending out, still worried, fearful, and attached to him because she felt like she had unresolved baggage. Once that was released and cut, it was like they went overnight. And I thought to myself, that's such an interesting thing because, you know, that shows you how powerful we are when we cord to others or when others cord to us and how much it can in fact impact your energy. So yeah, that was really cool. I'm just gonna let two more people in the waiting room. Someone's trying to come in, guys. Okay, no, that's all good. All right. So let's get on with this prezzo. We live in a world where we are all interconnected in some way energetically to each other. We are all connected and we are living in a world of energy. And as many of the people in this class might know, we have this red road, which is the physical world, where we have physical touch points and connections. We might physically bump into someone, we might give someone a hug, we might run into them in the street. Isn't it interesting how the people that you have issues with, you tend to run into accidentally physically? This is the way the world works. But we also have what we call the Great Blue Road, which is the energetic world, where even if you're nowhere near in proximity physically to someone, you can be connected in such a deep way that you're swapping energy. And I mean that, like you can literally be sharing energy. So if you've had a conflict with someone and haven't resolved the energetic interconnectedness and cording, which is usually driven by really strong emotion, you can be feeling their feelings. So you might go, oh, why am I feeling so despairing or anxious? It might not be yours. It might actually be the way that person's feeling, and you're just picking it up because there's a big, fat, open energy cord between you and them. And you don't want that. I'm sure you don't want to feel their feelings. You've probably got your own that you're trying to work through. So obviously, physically, when we give someone a handshake, we touch energy. And then when we give them, when we think about them or we connect to them, whether it's positive or negative, we're giving them like an energetic hug. So there are healthy, positive energetic cords and there are unhealthy ones. But we are doing this all of the time. You're doing this at work, you're doing this at home, they exist everywhere. We can have negative projections being sent to us or from us to them, and they can be consciously or unconsciously sent from someone else. So people can think badly of you, hate on you, and they are sending you a negative projection. That's going to happen occasionally, and a lot if you've got conflict in your life. And then there's also positive ones. Let's let them be. If someone's giving you positive, great. If someone's got a healthy love cord with you, great. So there's people in this class that I know. I have a healthy love cord with those people, and you want that because that's a really beautiful connection. And by the way, in an intimate relationship, you can have a healthy and an unhealthy one. So you want to let go of the unhealthy ones and keep the healthy. So when we say like cut cords with someone or let them go, we don't mean let the positive go. We mean let the negative association go. Because one is good for you and one isn't great for you. That's really important to know. Just because you have a negative one with someone doesn't mean you don't have five good positive cords or connections with someone. So someone that's in a really loving relationship might have really great energy connection and shares, but there might be something that's off, like communication or an addiction issue. So it's good to know. So really, the question is, what do we do about them? What do we do about this energy world that we live in, and how do we navigate around people? Because I think a lot of us get taught about, physical boundaries. Like you don't just give a key to your house to a million people and say, "Come into my home." We know that. We also know about physical boundaries of, not inappropriately, hugging someone or being sexual with someone that we shouldn't be. We know a lot about physical boundaries. A lot of us don't know a lot about energetic boundaries. And the first thing to think about is, what are they? There are four key types. There's a really interesting to think about the four key types. There's the unconscious energy vampire. And I say that word both seriously and not seriously. But this is like a friend or someone that's a bit codependent with you. They're a bit needy and they're a bit insecure. So it's maybe someone that like likes when you have a drama because they can show up and I've seen that a lot. Like your friends show up when you've got a drama, but they don't show up when you're good. Or it could be the family member that holds on a bit longer or can't manage their own stuff. They can't regulate. So it doesn't feel good enough. They don't feel good enough, and they rely on an alternative energy station, which is you. You see this with parents and children. Like when they're young children, of course, they're going to rely on their parents, but when they're grown up, they can still do that neediness or that energy, or it can go the other way from parents to kids where they don't want them to leave the house and grow up and be an adult. They want to have them like still as a little kid. So there's sometimes unconscious energy vampires where it's just a natural way that they operate. And the reason this is important to know is it's not that they're bad people, it's not that they're doing anything wrong. It's your energetic boundary around what you do about it. And so I had someone say to me, her son, who was 28, was still like having a breakdown and coming home and wanting her to clean up his mess. And she said, I have to cut the apron strings. And I'm like, yes, you do. Like, you have to allow him to find his own way through without constantly relying on you as the energy station, because it was very tiring. So that's the first level. The second level is the drama queen. And or king. Queen doesn't mean woman, it means just someone that creates dramas. Now, what's really interesting about this is horses, when they're stressed, try to amp you up as well. So you can see this beautiful horse having a rearing session. When horses are stressed and feel hyper and dramatized, they're trying to amp you up with them. They'll amp the herd up. Have you noticed that, if you know about horses, if one horse gets anxious, it shares it between all the horses. And what the horse really wants is oh, everyone should be as anxious as me. Like there's a drama. Let's all get anxious. Let's all float around and like amp up. Now, the best thing you can do when training horses is to ignore it and go, I'm not going to get amped up. That's your issue. I'm going to stay calm. And when you regulate and stay calm, when the horse is amped up, they'll eventually calm down. Now, I wasn't taught that when I first got horses. I was taught that you have to like get them in trouble and tell them to back down and like make them run around in circles. And they love that. They're like, oh, she's amped up too. And then when I figured out that like, oh, the calmer I am and the more regulated, and I kind of don't buy into it, a little bit like not buying into a kid's tantrum, I realized how much it shifted the energy. So people that vampire like this are anxious. They get importance via a stressful event, and chaos follows. Again, they might not be aware they're doing it, although there's some level of them that feeds this kind of stress event and then therefore tries to bring everyone into it. So they end up creating what's called a drama entity. They're clinging on to your bright energy. They're trying to regulate, but they're also trying to get you to buy into it as well so that they can feed off that energy. And like attracts like. So, yes, it's an interesting way to think about it. The third type is someone that is consciously piggybacking on you. And you can see this photo. I love this. Like there's someone like gripping on and going, I want to piggyback. And they know they're doing it on some level. I'm not saying it's even nefarious. They actually know they're doing it. They know they're projecting. They know that they can be manipulative, and they know that they might not know exactly, but they're fractured and you're the drug of choice. That's These people are a little bit more dangerous. And again, it's not a judgment, it's just an awareness that these people are consciously, trying to hijack. And they've decided that you're it and they know it. It can also be quite vengeful. It can be a hate love situation. It can be a lot of self centeredness or strategy going on. So sometimes it's I call them fence sitters. They're like loving and hating. They kind of love you, because you're a source of protection, but they hate you because you're too successful, or they hate you because of some other reason. And I think that it's really important to remember that if you have one of these people in your life, you're probably very aware of it, and they're very aware of it. And so there could be some codependency there. Maybe you like it. Maybe you like being the drug of choice. Maybe that makes you feel important. But what it does is ultimately deplete energy. That's the third type. These are rare. Voodoo peeps. They're basically people that know dark magic. they're intentional and they have a lot of metaphysical knowledge. Now, in certain cultures around the world, I would say that these people know exactly what they're doing. But if you work in healing work, like I know how to do this to people, I would never do this to people. It's like the opposite of healing. Voodoo is like the dark side of healing. The thing that people don't really understand with this kind of darker projecting energy is it comes back on you karmically, whether it's this life or the next. So it's such a pointless task, and it's against any kind of healing and holistic principle. But you can project some pretty awful energy on people if you decide to, if you know what you're doing. And it can range from quite simple magic to quite serious impingement with a goal in mind. So I have um, spoken to people that will get people in their life and bind them and put them in the freezer, or bind them and put pin. I've heard of this, and I'm like, do not do that. But also if you look at cultures like Haiti, they are absolute masters at that. Like I said, it's rare. Um, if you have someone projecting at you that really knows what they're doing, you can get quite unwell. And I'll give you an example in a moment. But yeah, they're much rarer. So they're usually not your day-to-day people. And if you know someone that does this kind of dark magic, unknow them quickly if you can. That's the four main types. Obviously, there's little bits of, everything. I think what is a good practice is what to do when your system gets hacked, because we do get hacked. I mean, I've got a family member that regularly tries to hack my sister and I know that Natasha, who's on this call, she gets family members sometimes hacking her system. And it's not, you can't really control what people do. Yes, you can have good defenses and good boundaries, but we are in a sea of energy and we forget that we're not some immutable force where if we decide we're going to put up a crystal ball around us, we can't be hacked. People can get into your field on and off. Now, the more you build up resilience and awareness, the better. So the idea is become a metaphysical master on your own energy so that you know how to manage it. But what does it look like and what does it feel like? Well, like I said, this is the common one, cords and hooks between people. Now, they can go from you to them or them to you or both. This usually happens in conflict or high stress events, or someone that's got an outstanding, drama or concern with you. Now, I had someone come to see me. This is really interesting. I had someone come to see me. She was in the late 20s and she was starting to get really anxious and really stressed at work for no reason. For, like there was nothing going on at work or in her home, but she started to get these flashes of something that happened to her as a kid. And she was just going off the rails. And her boss actually said, "Hey," because her boss I was coaching said, my staff member isn't feeling great." And she came to see me for one session, and we worked out that a neighbor had, it wasn't a really bad sexual abuse, but a neighbor had done some sexually inappropriate stuff to her when he was babysitting her when she was like 10, a male neighbor. And I found a cord into the back of her sacral chakra, back into the back, because back is usually unconscious and front is usually conscious. So when you've got back issues, it's usually someone projecting into your back. If it's front, you're conscious of who it is or what it is. She had something in her back, and she still had a cord from that man that she had fear, and she'd never told her parents, so it was hidden, and she still had a fear cord. And when we released that cord, her problem instantly went away. They're not always like that, but it instantly went away. She said, "Oh my God, it was like coming up to be dealt with." An old sexual abuse cord from a neighbor had just been stuck in her back. And it was from her to him originally because he was projecting his issues onto her or sexual desires. But she also didn't know what to do about it when she was that age. So it was just sitting in there dormant. And then it was like coming up in her late 20s. I was doing work with her manager about some stuff that I think this just came up to be dealt with. So that can be from you to them to you. The thing is, if you have an outstanding conflict with someone, you will have a cord to them. It's almost impossible not to have some sort of energetic tension with them. So you don't want to clean it out because they deserve it. You want to clean it out because you don't want to pick up on their stuff. So you have to work out the sizzle, or what I call the shenpa, which is the sizzle around why you're still angry or upset. And when you start to work on that, the cord will either dissolve or you can cut it. and we'll talk about cutting it. It can just be, it can also show up as just draining waves of energy. It might not even be a cord. It might be more like just a sort of a draining energy. Maybe when you're with them, you fall out of balance, or maybe when you see them on Facebook, or maybe when you connect some way with them, there's like an energy stealing going on. So it's like an imbalance in the field. That's how it can also show up as well, like a draining imbalance in the field. So that's how it can show up as well. So when you're with someone, the idea is to go, do I feel in my center? And do I consciously breathe my energy back so I feel centered and calm? And I also have an intention that their waves of energy that are trying to like come into my field, how do I just say no to that and then make sure I know we're separate, even though we are all one on some higher self level? We are individuated as different auric fields and energetic fields. So the idea is to just go, I know that you're someone that's mixing energy. I'm just going to like have an intention. I don't agree to that. You're over here and I'm over here, and just start to separate that energy flow. Because if you know, that can happen where waves of energy kind of like mingle too much. Physical pain is a really common one. Like I said, if you get back strain or injuries or stress fractures or something in the back, that can be someone cording into you. Like I said, the back is the subconscious layer. So I had a client of mine that she was having a really bad ending with her ex. Like it was worse than the usual. And she had this chronic right hand side shoulder that was just constantly like aching or numb or charged. And she'd had it since she'd started the divorce proceedings or the separation. And we did a couple of sessions, took a couple where we helped move that. And then, like I said, the pain dissipated. And she goes, now I can feel when he's back in there. I can feel when Laurie's back in there again. She goes, because people can try and reconnect cords, right? They're reaching out, they're angry. So she goes, oh, now I'm aware of when it's there and when it's not. I can feel how to let it go. So that was a really good exercise for her to say, my issue in my back, I know when it's there he's back, and I know when he's thinking about me and projecting, and then I just send it back and then it dissipates. um Same with feeling really lost. If just out of the blue you don't feel good, you feel lost, you feel despairing, and you're like, oh, nothing's happened in my life to make me feel that way, there's just this overwhelming kind of stuck lost feeling. I'm just dark or deep, like this picture shows. That can also be someone in your field, and you're picking up on their vibration. If you're highly clairsentient, which means you feel energy, that's going to be harder for you. And you can work with it. And of course, you can change it over time. But if you are a feeler, it tends to get into your body more in a way that physically feels, because that's the way that you predominantly use your intuitive gifts. I'm more of a seer and a hearer, so I find my body doesn't get as much. But if you're very sensitive to energy and you feel it in your body, every time you feel an ache or a pain, is this mine? Is this not mine? Just ask that question, start to practice and train yourself. Is this mine? Is this not mine? Or I'm feeling really lost out of the blue and feeling really despairing today. That's like, there's no reason for me to feel that way. I would remind everyone that the world events can make you feel that way as well. So what's happening at the moment with Iran and America, and those events can also kind of come into your field. They're like world consciousness energy. So we have individual people that can impact us, and then we have this world energy that can affect us as well. So sometimes it can be more mundane, not so much individuated. Energy weapons and saboteurs. So, people can, you've heard of like a knife in the back or an axe or a cord or a rope, it's like their projections on steroids. So if someone has extreme rage, anger, fear, shame, or emotions, whether that person knows they're sending the energy weapon to you or not, that's a big one. Like that's this is like worse than just a projection or a cord or a hook. They're called energy slaps, really. And they can be conscious or unconscious, but they're very charged. So if you're feeling like you're getting like battered by the universe, especially if you feel like things are going wrong a lot, like something happens that shouldn't happen, or something messes up, or it's one of those days where you get every single red traffic light. And I mean that as a metaphor. It's like sometimes there can be someone literally projecting kind of a fueled emotion. I want you to think about emotion, energy in motion. An emotion that's really strong has so much power and so much energy. Think about this logically. Like they say that women that have their children in danger, they can lift cars, like they can move heavy objects. There is a lot more intensity physically when there's a fueled, enraged emotion. So I have seen all kinds of things. In fact, I saw one of my really good healing friends. She had a bullet in her thigh one time where she'd been shot at by someone she knew, and it was like it was bleeding. And she had all these problems with her legs. And I was like, whoa, those energy weapons can be powerful when they're charged. So if you have an outstanding conflict with an ex or a friend or a family member and it's super emotional and it's super charged, just think about how that's affecting your energy and start to create some, I'll give you some ideas of how you can shift that out. The first thing to do is to fix yourself, meaning if you're hating back on them or sizzled, then you're just going to be an open slather because it creates a weakness in your field. Think about it. There's harmonic energy and, this harmonic energy, like there's energy that feels good, that protects you, and there's energy that like lets stuff in. Low vibrational rage and energy and emotions create low vibrational people into your field. And of course, you can like I said, this is kind of carry on from weird stuff can start happening to you if someone's really at you. I actually had a friend of mine, like not a close friend, but he was projecting at someone. He'd had a business deal gone wrong, and he goes, I still send them hate vibes every day. And I'm like, whoa, Marcus, like you're gonna have to change that up. And he was very depressed and very sickly, and he couldn't get over this business thing, and he was sending them daggers and hate vibes, like just in his own head, and it got him to be very sick. So it can be both ways. But yeah, when stuff starts happening that's offbeat, then like random stuff, like you run over something and it crashes your tire, or just some of those things. They're not accidents; they're actually things happening in the field. In Indigenous tribes, especially Australia, but other ones, if someone gets really sick, the first question they ask is, who is thinking ill of me? That's the first question they ask. Who's projecting ill at me, or who's thinking ill of me? So they associate flus, colds, sicknesses, disease around a projection from someone else. And I'm not saying that's always the reason, but isn't that interesting that those cultures that have been thriving, well, were thriving before they were decimated for a long time, know that when they get unwell, there's something that's happening on the emotional, energetic level that's causing a disturbance in their field and in their body. So I think that's pretty interesting when you hear that. So what's the remedy and resolution? Because we're going to have some Q&A at the end of this class, about 15 minutes, so you can ask your questions. Remedy and resolution, the first one is awareness. um, there's such a power in acknowledging that's not mine. Oh, I can feel that energy from that person. That's not mine. I send that back. Like that's powerful. I don't think we know that. The law of intention, the law of, action, that's not mine. I don't take that on. That's a powerful thing for you to say around your energetic boundaries. I don't agree to that. Hence the revocation. Revocation should be something that everyone knows in their vocabulary. I don't accept that. I give that back. And the best way to liken that is to think of vampires. You know how, in the movies that you're invited into the house, and they're like, oh, don't invite the vampire in. And then you do, and then you have to rescind the invitation. That's kind of the same thing. I don't accept that. I revoke that. I didn't agree to that. I might have once. I might have allowed you into my home, into my life, into my bed, into wherever. I don't agree to that anymore. So let it be known. And, abracadabra is an Aramaic word for with my words I influence. I don't agree to that anymore. I'm stating that out to the universe. There's something that happens when you speak out your throat chakra as well, the rhythm and harmonics around saying it to the field. So read your revocations out loud. Obviously, there's the physical steps. If someone's really upsetting you or there is a problem, remove yourself from the environment. You are impacted by an energetic state. So if I'm having an argument or a negotiation with someone, I will not go to their office. I will not go to their house, and I will not go to their environment because they have command of that environment. I'll make them come to my office, or I'll go neutral, or I'll have a phone call or something that's neutral. Even if it's a Zoom, I'll send the invite because it's my Zoom, it's my space. Think about physically, there's an energetics set up in an environment. If you're having an argument with someone in a room, like the lounge room or the kitchen a lot, don't try and have the reparation in the kitchen or the lounge room. The energetic state of that environment is argument energy. So if you want to iron something out, go out away from the argument or the space where the energetics have been destructive. I've purpled this because I'm going to talk a little bit more about this, but metaphysical steps is cutting cords or sending an energy back to someone. So there's a mindfulness and a way to cut cords and to let someone go. And there's a few ways to do it. I'll talk about it in a minute, but that's definitely something I would do. I send it back to you. Or in our training, we talk about sending it to the void, which I won't go into the void now, but the void is I send it back to a place where it'll be dealt with. I don't even want to say, oh, I'll dump it back to you. You should have it. Like, or how about you just send it back to the void that transmutes it? And if the void in its wisdom thinks that it should go back to the sender, the person that instigated it, sure. Or maybe you're projecting to them. I've actually had to do that where I know I've projected at people and I've had to reel it in and go, oh, I'll have to sort that out. That's my issue. Obviously, future boundaries, establishing a clear intention for that person. If that person is destructive or harmful, put your boundaries. I know there's metaphysical and physical, but establish the intention. My intention for this person is, if it's a work colleague that's really projecting at you, my intention is to have harmonious, short, polite, quick interactions, but I'm going to generally not hang out with them. Or my intention is to start to put your intentions in, law of intention. Whatever I set up is what I intend to do. And then see whether the energy can follow along behind that. I'm going to talk more about cleansing rituals too, before and after interactions with people. If you know you're meeting with or connecting with someone that's volatile or is projecting at you or has an issue or is unstable or has mental health, any of those things, think about the before and the after, because you want to set up your energy before and you want to make sure afterwards it's clean and clear. I'm going to go into a little bit more detail on that. If you really get stuck, see a healing practitioner. There's many on this call right now. Go and clear it because there could be some evolutionary karma, some lessons that you haven't learned, something pretty dark that needs a serious cleansing and clearing. Like I said, I don't think that client of mine would have been able to release that cord to her abuser when she was 10. I don't think she would have even known it was there. So sometimes it's just about going and getting the support from someone that does know what they're doing and to really help you clear it. Remember, for every clearing, you need to know the evolution. Why did I have this happen? Where's the outstanding agreement? Because if you don't understand that and resolve it, it'll just replicate itself. Remember, if you don't pass a class, you have to repeat the lesson. So it's important to know. And of course, master your own healing path. People that master their own energy, their own healing, their own boundaries. We have an energy healing class we teach, but find your own way to master your own healing because you are in a metaphysical environment. We are in this kind of energetic quantum grid. And unless we actually learn how to master it, we actually, can become quite impacted a lot by it, especially if we're in difficult situations or around tricky people or families or whatever origin you've come from. So a couple more slides and we'll be finished. The example of cutting cords, use the method you feel to be true for you, whether it's fire, a sword, a pair of scissors. But what you're really doing is you're imagining yourself connected to someone else through a cord because you know that it's there. And you're basically cutting it or severing it or having an intention to split it and to return the cord to sender or the void, like I said, but you might not know what that is if you haven't done training with us, but return it or let it go. have a conscious intention to release whatever emotions are with it, anger or fear or frustration or toxicity. Revoke the agreements to hold it. So say, I revoke the agreement to have that with that person anymore. I don't want to hold on to that. I revoke that. I don't want to agree to that. I did once upon a time, clearly because I have it. And then why was it there? So is there a lesson for me around why I had it? Is it because I don't have good boundaries with relationships, or is it because I'm still stuck in my family dynamics, or have I been, not been holding up good boundaries at work? What's it showing you? So think about it. I cut it, I return it, I release the emotion, I revoke it, and then I learn my lesson. They're the keys to letting go. Because a lot of people say, oh, I've cut the cord. I'm like, oh, did you get the lesson? Did you revoke it? Did you realize why you were doing it? Did you realize why you allowed that person to cord into you in the first place? Like, you got to get that part of it. Cleansing rituals, I really like two particular ones. I like the shower because you can do a physical shower and a metaphysical one. So this is when someone's impacted your energy. You can literally imagine a shower washing any grit out of yourself. That's a really good visualization. However, I also do this in the evening before I go to bed after work. I'm like, I have a shower to physically cleanse, and at the same time, I imagine all of my energetic baggage going down the drain as well. So I love the shower mechanism, and we all know that water is very emotionally cleansing. In terms of the sun, the way I work with the sun is a lot of people think I've got to put up a boundary around me when I go and deal with someone tricky, or I'm worried about my energy. I don't necessarily think I need a boundary because law of intention, if you think that you need a boundary because you're going to be attacked, then you'll attract it. Think about the logic. I need to protect myself because I could be attacked. Well, you law of attraction, you'll attract it. So what you want to do is you want to say, I've just got this beautiful streaming sunlight energy and it just radiates outwards. And anything that comes into my field just gets taken out by the sun rays. It's almost like it can't get stuck in me because I've got this golden bright energy that it just gets dissipated. And if someone wants to walk into my field and feel those sun rays, great. Do I give you permission to take them? No. Do you want to walk in them and feel them? Sure. I mean, I've just got these sun rays constantly going one way from inside to out. And that's how I walk around the world. It's a beautiful visualization rather than I have to put a boundary up. So you imagine your energy is cleansed by water or fire or sun. I mean, I love fire. I'm a phoenix at heart, but sunshine, golden light, water, whatever feels good for you. It could be breath and breeze. It could be breath work. Like I said, the physical backup is a shower. Or you can go out into the sunlight and lie on the earth and imagine the earth swallowing everything up and taking it out in the sun, replenishing you. So this is a really good exercise to do, especially post or pre or at the end of your day if you feel like you're compromised. Obviously, as I said, getting a healing session is powerful because it does, really help you go another layer. When someone gives you some insight into something that's happening and shows you something that you don't know, it can be very, very transformative. And of course, for those of you that have done this class, if you really want to master your energetic health and really understand, even if you never want to practice and be a practitioner, if you just want to know how this whole universe works, I think they should teach it at school. We've got a quantum field around us. Everyday people do this class, so do practitioners, but just knowing how to manage and hold your energy and what to do about it and how to fix it. And especially if you've got animals or children that you want to look after, I think that's a bit of a game changer for most of us. If you do want to learn about it, there's a place to learn more about it. But your ideal state is free and peaceful, and that requires you to look after your energy. So we all know to eat right, to exercise, to, have all these things, but to actually look after your energy is going to give you more freedom and peace than you'll have in any other way. And I've done this for a long time, and I know how peaceful it can get and how calm and centered you can be when you look after your energy. And which really says I own myself in the quantum space. Proprioception is where you are in space-time location. I am Debbie sitting in this office, in this city, in this country, in planet Earth, in, this galaxy. I know who I am in time space. I know what's mine. I know what's not mine. I know I am interconnected to everything and everything around me is teaching me something. But if I can just anchor myself and have my bright light switched on and clear and clean and regulated, then I attract better things to me. I manifest better. I don't have conflict as much. And when I do, I know how to deal with it very quickly. And training yourself how to deal with conflict in the energetic world from others. Because really, let's face it, it's others that get under our skin. You don't go walking around in nature and like, damn that tree, like it's other people, it's other humans. So knowing that and really holding true to that space and that energy is how we walk through this quantum reality in our own way, in a way that keeps us free and peaceful. And I don't think I've ever met anyone that doesn't want to be free or peaceful. And if you don't want to be free or peaceful, then that's a little bit sociopathic, and you probably need to get some help with that. So that's my closing words. I am going to open it up to questions now, because if you've got a particular something you want to ask, I'd really encourage you to ask that. If there's an example you want to share, yeah, I've got some time to talk through. If you want to type it into the chat, you can totally do that as well. If you don't want to unmute yourself and ask it. Any questions? Yeah, go for it.
Debbie, before I learnt what I do now, I went through a really tough situation at work, and I was being attacked for just being a friend to someone that everyone was unhappy with. And I was told to put their name in the freezer. So I've stuck someone in the freezer, and you were saying that that's not a good idea. So how do I say sorry for that?
Well, I think it comes down to intention. It wasn't like you were trying to stick them in the freezer to torture them and hurt them. I think it was probably more you had that idea of I want to freeze them out.
Yeah,
Um,
just to stop them from attacking
yeah,
me for,
yeah,
yeah,
yes.
yeah,
So firstly, don't judge yourself for doing that. But I would take them out of the freezer and I would
yeah.
do a little ceremony around whatever our karma was. I let you off the hook. I let myself off the hook. I revoke the agreement for you to attack me. I've got clearer, cleaner boundaries now. And then give it a little death. Like you might put it in the fire or you might bury it or whatever it is that you do. I mean, I'd probably just burn it and then just wrap it up. But do you know what the lesson is, the evolution and the lesson is around that, of why you went through that situation?
Probably not. I
If you
always seem to
don't,
stand up for the black sheep. I always seem to stand up for the people that other people are attacking or upsetting, and maybe they haven't done everything right, but I kind of see that they need somebody to support them, right or
okay.
wrong.
So there's a couple of ways to look at that, and it's not right or wrong. And that I love the support for the underdog too, but that also says, well, do I want to attract those situations in my life regularly? And is that what I want to do? That's the first thing. The
Yeah.
second thing is to say, interfering with someone else's karmic path can be if you're sort of saying what's happening to this person is right or wrong, good or bad, what you're saying is I'm going to step up here and play universe God and go, they shouldn't do this and they should do this, and I know what's best for everyone. Maybe it's in the karmic path of that person to go through that experience and to work out their own boundaries. And sometimes when we interfere, not that it's bad, I used to often stick up for people being bullied too, Rochelle. Sometimes it can be sort of us projecting what we think should happen rather than allowing that individual to play out their karmic path. Because anyone over 14 is karmically responsible for themselves. So once a child turns 14, they've gone through the two lots of 7 rounds, spirit and soul. And that maybe they need that experience to find their own voice. Does that make sense? Because you might actually, if you put that out as an intention, then it'll grow into a form of, oh, Rochelle's always going to stick up for the underdog, or she's going to cop the people attacking, and then you might attract more of that. That's another way to look at it. Yeah.
All right, thank
Yeah,
you.
cool. But you can rectify that. That's easy. I take them out of the freezer because while over there in the freezer, they're bound to you in some way.
Yeah, no, I took them out, and years later, I'm like, oh gosh, what's that? They're still in the freezer.
Oh, so you've taken them out. Oh, that's fine.
Yeah, I have taken them out, but I thought, do I need to do anything else in
Well, probably not. Maybe do your own talk to the universe.
them?
Whatever my role is in this and whatever happened there, I know my lesson was, and maybe think about that. Our karma is released. I send back anything to the void that doesn't belong. I'd do that. That's cool. Very clean. Yes, Olivia.
Hi. Hi.
Hi.
I was just wondering about I've had this problem with my son's father and it's even with my son really. Just even doing this kind of work, they think, that I'm basically airy fairy and it's all fantasy. And I went to a concert a week or so ago. And he was even there because they're talking about it. I know they're talking about it. And he was even sort of saying, but we were talking about something else. And then he was talking about it's fantasy and this and that. And I just feel like, every interaction when I go and see my son, because his dad usually comes around, we're actually quite good friends, but he always has these digs at me.
So,
And I
so if he's got an issue with your work, your spiritual work, is that your issue or his issue?
Well, that's what I was just like. I'm just trying to figure out why this, I mean that
So just to answer that question, is it his issue or your issue that he's got an
I'd
issue?
say it's both, really.
Is it yours that he's got an issue? Is his issues become yours?
Well, it affects me. Yeah.
How?
Well, it just affects me because I just feel I
Judged?
don't know, like because it affects my son as well because he gets in his ear. When as Oscar's getting older, my son, he sort of I feel like he's getting more like his father and thinking. He was much more spiritual when he was younger. He's nearly 30 now. And
Okay.
he's sort
So
of
your
getting
son's
less.
30, so it's not like he's a little kid that can't make his own
Oh, no,
decisions.
I know that. But
No,
it's,
no. My point is, this is really good for you because this is going to put it in place. This is going
yeah,
to because you still got an energetic cord around the
I
judgment.
do.
Yeah,
I
because
feel,
what's happening is
yeah,
this man, and whatever his name is, I don't need to know, is
yeah,
projecting at you judgment of your career,
yeah. Or
and
just
that's his issue.
my
Yeah,
beliefs in
yeah, your
general.
beliefs. Yeah, whatever you believe and think, he's
Yeah,
projecting at you. And he's stressed about it. It annoys him that you're like that, or he's
yes,
projecting and it stresses him. So he's let him hold the stress. You're hijacking him. Allow yourself, allow him to be hijacked. If he wants to be hijacked by you, that's his issue. The
yes,
stress lies within him. Because
yes,
where you are and where he wants you to be is a gap. The gap is his stress. That's the basic. So he'd like you to be here and think this way, but you're here. So
oh, yeah,
you're effectively in command of him.
yes.
You're hijacking him all the time. That is his issue.
Oh, it's always been his issue. Like we
It's
haven't,
not your issue, though. It's his issue.
no,
Because
but
you're okay with who you are, right?
yes, I am. Yeah.
So it's
But
his issue.
But I feel like it just even affected me the other night, and it just sort of brings me down,
Okay.
you
So
know?
you need to deal with your shadow of judgment. You feel judged and you feel impacted by this man, which is a true statement.
Yep,
And that means there's a shadow within you that needs reconciling. Because there's
yep,
two kinds of fear we have, fear of the unknown and fear of judgment. The fear of the unknown is I want to know what's going to happen in the future. I'm stressed. And fear of judgment is I want everyone to think a certain way and act a certain way.
yeah.
We can never control the external world. We can never control someone else's opinion.
No, of course.
So your shadow will be dealing with the fear of judgment and not needing him to think anything of you other than he does.
He's
He
always
needs,
felt like that
there
anyway.
you go. And that's probably why you left him.
Oh, years ago.
So
Oscar
you're
was like,
corded to it. So you need to do some deep diving on
yeah.
why there's a shadow, a shempa or a sizzle of how he needs to feel about you. Let him be stressed. Let him have his opinions. Let him be hijacked.
Oh, he
You
will
just
always have
you
those
just do
opinions.
you. You just do you.
Yep,
In terms
I
of your
do.
relationship to your son, that's different. You could sit your son down and say, "Hey, I know your dad bags out my industry and my career. I know that you're bigger and stronger and you have your own opinions and you're allowed to also think what you want to think. You might think what I do is weird or not weird. That's your choice.
Yep,
But I love you and I hope that you respect what I do as a career. But if you don't, I can't control that.
no. We have had talks about it, but not lately. So thank you.
Yeah, the projection is his. So send it back to him. I send back all the projections. I revoke the agreement to
Yeah,
hold that, but
yeah,
I also revoke back the need for me to feel judged and then me to have to fix him.
yeah,
He
yeah.
doesn't need to be fixed. He's perfect as he is in his dysfunctional judgment.
Yes, okay. Very good. Thanks, Debbie.
No worries. Amy.
Hello, thank you. That was amazing.
You're welcome.
I'm just thinking back to when I had a cord projection from an ex, which gave me a massive migraine that you sorted out, and it was so instant. And obviously, I've learned a lot since then, but I'm curious to know if you have a particular technique that you use to scan your field for these types of things. And maybe this depends on your clairs. I know you said you're more of like you hear it or you know it rather than feel it, but is there a kind of a
Yes.
process?
Yeah. I think about my physical and my mindset. So if I feel physical pain, the first thing I think of is what part of my body does it relate to and what chakra. So I sort of start to think, what does it relate to that I'm going through that's causing a pain in my body? And then then my next question is it food related? Is it an injury related? Or is it someone?
Mhm.
The other day I had these niggles in my lower digestion and I'd eaten gluten. I know you always tell me not to eat gluten, this naturopath. And I was like, fuck, that gluten's gotten in there. But yes, that's the first thing. So if there's a pain, if I feel energetically and emotionally volatile or off, the first thing, again, it's a question. Have I had something happen to me that's upset me? And if I
Mhm.
haven't, I go, oh, what am I picking up on? That's what I say. What am I picking up on? And then I think, is it world events that feel weird? Is it someone thinking badly of me? Is it something coming to me? So I just ask that question. So it's a bit of an internal dialogue, but it does rely on you being in touch with your own body and feelings. So
Mm.
the best thing anyone can do is to do somatic body exercises where you tune into an emotion, you feel it, texture, size, weight. So the more you're in touch with what's going on in your inside body, it's called interoception, what's going on your inside of your body. The more you're in touch with that, the more you can figure out what's going on. But it does require, yeah, being able to tune into your body, get messages, and yeah, intuition. Yeah. But
Thank
but but do a dialogue, do a drop down. Because
you.
what will happen is people that are pretty switched on, like, you guys in this call, if you say, my shoulder's hurting, is this mine or someone else's? You get an answer straight away, and then you go, higher self, is this true? That will then like say yes or no. And usually, if you train that, you'll get a yes or a no.
Hmm.
And then you go, okay, who's it from? And usually you know. Usually you know. Who have
So a
I
bit of
got
a
an
process
outstanding conflict with? Yeah, it's a process of
of
elimination.
like elimination. Yeah, is it this? Is it this? Is it
Yeah,
this?
yeah.
Okay.
Because I don't
Thank
always
you.
just know. I'm like, oh, that's annoying me. What's that about? And then I just try and find out the answer. That's why you have to
Okay.
be a bit of a detective when you're a very good detective.
Yeah. Thank you.
Anyone else got any other questions on that? They're pretty relevant. Like we do, because some people say to me, well, how can I set myself up so that I never get anyone's stuff in? Well, there's two answers to that. If you've got an outstanding conflict, you'll have to deal with that first because that opens your energy up. Secondly, is it doesn't matter, how powerful you think you are or you aren't. We are all susceptible to energy, and all it is, it's about recognizing it and dealing with it. Someone said to me 2 days ago that they find their body can go into like a freeze or a fight or a flight, and they find running or dancing or jogging or something helps. And I agree with that. Sometimes when it feels very, very physical and visceral, go and shake it out, dance it out, go into the ocean. That can really help. But trying to find out and understand the cause of it is really important. Because if you don't understand the root cause, it's hard to get rid of. Kim.
Hey, gorgeous one. Thank you for this. Um, Sometimes can it happen like overnight? You go to bed and you feel calm, and then you wake up in the morning and it's just like, oh my God, this is the world's impacting you. You feel like shit. You go, and where the hell has that come
Yeah.
from?
Okay.
Because I'm very much into feeling everything. So I end up, because I got up at 5:30 and went, that's it. No, I'm going for a walk. So I went for a 3K walk and went and just aired it and went, what the hell? I thought I'd dealt with this, that, and the other. Because I know I'm going through a lot of shit with Rod and his family. Um, and that was kept coming back, but I've just gone, you know what? I've said my piece. So I stood up and said what my worth is, and that's what I needed to do. And now that's you need to answer, and I don't care what you've said, but I know I've stood up for me, and that's the most important thing.
So do you
But
think it was in the
no, it
immediate
was the
family?
world shit.
There you go.
So
That's more
yeah,
likely. The
yeah.
reason being is when you go to sleep at night, your day-to-day life switches out a bit, and then like you can kind of like there's a sense of like being open to the field on some level. And I'm not saying that you are open to it, but there's a sense of picking it up. So sometimes, like what Kim just said, is I'd be like, yeah, what's going on in the world that's really affecting this consensus of the field? Because don't forget, we're individual fields and we're collective. So I don't know if you guys know, but when 9/11 happened, it's a bunch of satellites that orbit space called ghost satellites, and they measure the electromagnetic energy of what's happening in the Earth. And so they spike up and down a little bit. Apparently, when everyone switched on their television and saw the trade towers collapsing, it spiked the biggest it's ever spiked ever, and it went off the Richter at that time. And they're basically saying everyone's fear and heart and shock went into overdrive, and it spiked it. And I imagine there was more spikes during COVID and all kinds of different things, but that event was because it was simultaneously seen in different time zones, it was spiking. So we know that as a collective, we spike electromagnetic energy. We know that with our heart rhythm coherence, we can go into coherence where it's fun and joy and love. And then we can go into what Kim just described, like stress and panic and anxiety and fear. And so when the world is reacting to an event, you will feel it. If you're any kind of conscious person, you will feel it. You'll feel the collective anxiety. So what do you do about that? You basically say, I know what that is. I don't buy into it. I want my world today to be like this. Doesn't mean you don't care about it. It just says, well, what's the point in my worry energy feeding it? So the best thing we can do as individual light globes is to just take care of our own self and then collectively try and bring it down. So if you can be a calm, regulated light bulb in a world of panic, that's going to help the field balance. So yeah, when you feel that, like Kim, yeah, it's like the world's, because I've woken up before and I've said to James, what is that feeling? And I know it's not mine because nothing bad's happened in my life. Now with Kim, it might be a bit hard because she's going through separation and things like that. It might be a little bit different. They could have had a big powwow about Kim the night before and all projected crap. So what Kim might do is go sit in the void. She knows how to do this and send all that back to the void and let it go out of your field. That might be something you do.
Can also, one of the things I do is I ask anything that doesn't belong to me to return to Mother Earth and be turned into fertilizer for the benefit of all. Is
Love
that okay?
Love that.
And then I also send myself into the water at the moment. I'm wondering why, because it's freezing, and send out positive waves of love and empowerment to everything that inhabits this earth.
Well, then you're a good offset against the stress and the fear of the world. Well done.
I hope so.
Jasmine, you had a question? You want to?
I do have a question.
Yeah.
So I just am unsure whether it's other people's, like I'm taking in or taking on other people's trauma or conflict or things like that, or whether it's from my own personal. So for example, like my body is very inflamed inside. And I am also dealing with trauma, conflict at work, and I'm dealing with like trauma from my past and dealing with a whole bunch of things like eating too much sugar as well. So there's a lot of things that could be going towards,
so I would say,
contributing to it. But so
I would say as above, so below. So whatever your inner state is will attract your outer state.
Yeah.
So if you've got trauma on the inside unresolved, the field will play it out. So I'd start working on the inside of you because you don't know at this point. But if you've got stuff going on outside, like conflict at work and things, that's coming into your sphere because there's an attractive field. So I would work on your inner trauma and your inner world and your inner self. And then as you work on that, notice the outer world start to shift as well. It doesn't mean that people aren't projecting. So you could do a daily cleanse at the end of your day, whatever's come from work, shower, release it. I can maybe even send you a recording. It sounds pretty intense, but letting that go. But I would work on your inner world because that's where the fractures are, and like attracts like. So it will pull in as a food source to match the same stress.
Definitely. Yeah, no, I completely agree. I do need to do that. And I was thinking about going and doing some hypnotherapy, but I just
that's mind-based. You should do our energy medicine class. The hypnotherapy deals with the mind. Think about the 7 layers of self: body, subconscious, conscious, superconscious, soul, spirit, higher self. The mind caps out at the conscious mind. You got super conscious, you got soul, spirit, and higher self. You got 4 more layers above to deal with that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Hypnotherapy is just going to patch the mind.
So it's not even.
This
Yeah.
could be a past life karma for all you know.
I know
How would
that's
you
what
deal
I'm
with that?
thinking.
How would
Yeah,
you deal
yeah,
with
yeah.
that? Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anyone else got any questions before we are at time? I've got a couple of minutes if anyone wants to ask something. Otherwise, I hope that was informative. It's not meant to scare anyone. It's actually just meant to go, how do I manage my own energy? Because it's there whether you like it or not. Universal laws exist whether you know it or not. Energy exists whether you know it or not. So being ahead of the game, and like Jasmine, getting involved in that healing from the inside out on the energetic level is such a fantastic way to live and be here. So it's just about knowing the information, not being scared by it, and knowing how to deal with it. Yeah. Hope that helped. Reach out if you need to know anything or ask anything. For those of you guys that are in classes of mine, thanks for showing up, beautiful people, as usual. And reach out if you need anything. Lots of love. Bye.